We talked about how to use the grip formula, and that's awesome. But there are scenarios in y'all's lives that y'all are not actually realizing are good lead sources, and it could be costing you money. And that is anytime you interact with people on a regular basis, meaning people that you're seeing on a regular basis and you're paying for their services, these people should know about your trade, your skill, or your business. And if we're going to be blunt, they should be contributing to leads for you in some form or fashion. It only makes sense because there's you're spending money with them, right? So we're gonna start this off by just kind of setting the scene. We're gonna take your barber, for instance. This is a good example. And this is some and for the ladies, your beautician or basically whoever you're using, whether you're going to a beautician to take care of your hair or you're getting your hair cut like me with a barber. Because I've been on both sides of the spectrum. Some of y'all that have been following me online long enough, y'all remember I used to have locks. So in that case, I was going to a beautician. But I digress. This is a person that you're spending money with on a regular basis, right? And all of a sudden, you start a new business. You become a video editor. You start mowing lawns, graphic designer. You get plenty of examples. Well, I would think that you're probably going to drop that in the conversation alone because the nature of that service is they kind of function as a therapist. So you always talk about what's going on in your life, or at least that's how it goes for normal people. For me, I don't have that luxury because most of my barbers and beauticians throughout the years, it's kind of the opposite. They always want to dump what's going on me and not the other way around. Put in the comments, do y'all experience that where the relationship is reversed? I'm not saying it's 100% reversed. Sometimes we talk about me, but a lot of times they want to talk about what's going on in their lives, which is kind of interesting. But regardless, there is some talk about what's going on in your life. And I would think you would share that, hey, you're thinking about starting a business or doing this service. Then you talk about a little about the process of doing it. And eventually you get certified or you get your first few clients or whatever it is. They should actually know about your business. So if they don't know about your business, you should make it known in just in a regular discussion way. But after a while, it never hurts to directly ask them if they know someone that may need your service, especially when you've been a little established, like you've gotten your first 3 to 5 clients, so you're not like just fresh off the boat, so to speak. They should be receptive to doing just that. Or at the very least, you leaving your information with them, like let's say some business cards with the QR code that we talked about in the previous show. And that material can be just laying there, and someone who may need your service can just grab that, reach out to you. But do you think that it's going to reach out to you randomly? They're probably going to grab your card or your flyer or your catalog and then ask the barber musician about, like, hey, so who is this? This is a chance for them to speak pretty good of you because you are a customer. And the chances of that person reaching out to you is higher because someone has personally vouched for you. And we just talked about a barber in this example, but we're going to give a few different examples to kind of illustrate that point because a barber actually is, I keep saying barber. Every time I say barber, realize it applies to a beautician too, if not more, because beauticians often have their own little like suits away from like the whole crowd. And that actually helps because someone will be more likely to notice the fly. Like barbershops, y'all know how a barbershop's set up. It's a bunch of booths and everyone's having a big discussion. So it actually works better with the beautician setup, to be honest. But I digress yet again. Everything I said still applies, but one thing I want to expand on is this is going to be hard for some of y'all to do. Trust me, I get it. But you should have more than one barber or beautician. Why should you do that? Well, first of all, there's a practical reason. Your barber or beautician is going to go on vacation at some point, and they might be gone for a few weeks. And who's going to cut your hair or do your hair then? I mean, I'm pretty sure it's happened to all of us at some point. Barber beautician goes on vacation. It's like if you're lucky and yeah, if you're lucky, maybe the timing will work out. Like when I used to have locks, when my beautician would go on vacation or something, I managed to, and she gives everyone a heads up, but I managed to be like one of her last customers to get my locks done, and she wouldn't be back for like another like 3 weeks, or my locks would last exactly 3 weeks. So right when it's around the time for them to get done again, hey, guess what? She's back. But sometimes the timing might not work like that. Those slots might be taken, and what do? You end up having someone else cut your hair, do your hair anyway. So why not just go ahead and have that set up? Then it spares you the quote unquote stress of having to find someone to do it. And let's just be honest, we want someone of quality to be cutting our hair or locking our hair, or whatever. And that usually requires us to do some experimentation, right? Like, oh, I went to this person, but they kind of dropped the ball, or this person was just kind of average, or hey, this person was almost as good as my main beautician or barber. I'll use them as a backup barber or beautician. So I would just have that set up just for the peace of mind, if I'm gonna be honest. But aside from that, everything I said about the barber and beautician applies to all of them, not just the one you're seeing. So if you're going to multiple barbers or beauticians, that means that everything I said is going to be times two or times three. Now, I think maybe two is probably the magic number. You could push it and do three in terms of having like three barbers or beauticians. And you don't have to think of it as you keep alternating between each one. It's more so like you have the main barber that you're loyal to or beautician. And then the other ones you go to every now and then. Sometimes it's needed because your barber might be on vacation. But even not, maybe just once every 2 months, go to the other ones. And I would make sure that they're spread apart. Like definitely not in the same salon because come on, it's not expanding your options. But like I would make sure like I'll use some towns in my local area, for example. So if I had in some alternate reality, I lived in Hearst. Well, and my main barber's in Hearst. Well, there's a neighbor city called Euless. I would get another barber there. There's another neighbor city called Arlington. I would have a barber there. And every now and then I would pay the Euless and the Arlington barber a visit, just so they remember who I am, etc. But I would still mainly be going to the barber in Hearst. That's how you handle that. But the thing is, each time you go to a different barber, that's another fresh set of leads that you can tap into just by having a relationship with the barber, but also just the people in the shop. I mean, these are very social environments. Oftentimes, what you do is going to come up anyway, as someone's waiting to get their hair braided or just chilling in the shop talking with everyone. It's probably going to come up anyway. So now you're talking to people in the main barbershop, but every now and then you go to the other one, and every now and then you go to the third one. And these are massive sources of lead generation because different crowds are coming through different shops. You see how you're naturally expanding your horizons? And we're not even talking about going up to strangers like in the produce section in Sprouts, meeting people that like, oh, well, what do I say? Anything like that. You're in a natural, organic, social environment where you can just talk to people and you can steer the conversation to what you do by using the grip formula. But aside from that, just having a relationship with barbers and beauticians who are basically part-time therapists, hearing people's problems. You don't think that some people aren't going to come with them with a problem that you may have the potential to solve? Very untapped source of lead gen, if you're in my opinion, or it's not talked about much. The people who do it, they see the value, but you don't really see much talk about it on the internet. We're going to change that. I'm probably going to clip this segment and call it the most underrated source of leads on the planet for business owners.